Okay, thank you all for coming today. We're going to let Sherry Williamson do a presentation, and we're very glad to have her here for the Meet the Grantor series. And I will turn it over to Sherry.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm Sherry Williamson and I work with the North Carolina Community Foundation. And I just wanted to share a little bit about how our organization works, and then answer any of the questions that you all have. So the North Carolina Community Foundation, we were founded in the 80s to really highlight um, rural philanthropy. So there's a lot of philanthropy going on in the larger cities, but there wasn't a lot to cover our rural areas. So that was our focus. And the work that we do today is really bringing together generous people and connecting them with causes and organizations they care about. So our foundation is really different from most foundations that you may be applying for grants to, because we are really focused on our administering our funds through our affiliate boards. So here's a map of all of the regions that we cover. So anything on this, any county that is highlighted on this map has an affiliate foundation. So what that means is an affiliate is a board of community members who work to manage their unrestricted fund and granting money to their community. So we're not, so like Spencer, you're actually covered by the Community Foundation of Western North Carolina. And I'm pretty sure they're in Asheville. And so how they administer their grants will be very different. They have like a core central staff. Our central office is in Raleigh, but you'll see the different colors on this map that indicate our different regions. So I'm in the West, which are all of the green counties. My colleague, Kelly, covers the central region, and then Anne covers the eastern region. And there's more staff than us, but we're the grant and scholarship administrators. But the staff in our region live in the region, and then we work with these boards and fund holders to do different things. So I wanted to show you how to navigate our website so you can get all the information you would need to apply for a grant. So if you go to ncommunityfoundation.org, my favorite space is if you click on affiliates and you go to this map. So then that'll take you directly to the county that is relevant to you. Now, you can apply for a grant. These are all separate grant processes, and you can apply for a grant in any county that you serve. So let's say, so Cindy, let's say you're in Lenoir and Caldwell County, but let's say that you're going to do this regional program where you want to bring the arts to like Avery and Watauga. So for that event, you would be able to not only apply to your own county, but to Avery and Watauga as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there may be situations like Laura, you said you'll see we don't have Coswell in person, but maybe there's something that happens in this whole region up here that you all collaborate in your work, and maybe you all were doing something with Rockingham or Granville. And if I don't pronounce these other parts of the state right, please forgive me. We're something else out here in the West. Feel very different than them. But if you're collaborating with some of these neighboring counties that have foundations, you could be eligible for a grant in that area. To learn a little bit more about each affiliate, when you click on the map, it will bring up the community foundation that serves that area. So for Sarah and Cindy, you'll see I clicked on Caldwell, but Catawba Valley Community Foundation comes up. Catawba Valley Community Foundation actually serves Caldwell, Alexander, and Catawba. So that's all one grant process. Those three counties work together. But when we click on their page, it gives you specific information about their specific board. The biggest thing, well, you can learn more about who's on the board. These are your community members. So this is like my super best favorite thing about North Carolina Community Foundation is that we are so centered on community. So even me, I live in Boone, and I'm the grants administrator, but even I cannot have an impact on what grants are selected in a community. That's not my community. Even the Watauga board, we have a Watauga board, but I can't influence them, that board, on who they select for grants. It's all about those community members coming together, understanding their community needs, and granting those funds. You can look at past grant awards, and what this can help you with is to understand about how much money each foundation is administering. Catawba Valley is one of our largest because Hickory is one of the largest towns in our area, and also it's covering 3 counties. So these are actually pretty large awards from my region. I have some, like I think that there is someone not on this call, but that participates in Uplift that's from Surry County, and their whole fund is $1,500. So you'll see like here's one $1,500 award here, but in Surry County, 1,500 is the entire grant pool for that year. But you can see kind of what types of programs they are prioritizing, and how much they're giving. If we, another important resource on this front page that can be helpful to all of you is our community needs assessment. Catawba Valley is unique because it's 3 counties. Most affiliates just cover 1, but let's go ahead and click on Caldwell County. Tell me, did your screen change to the community needs assessment? So this is a document that we provide to our boards to help them understand the needs of their community. I like to say that our board members are like the qualitative data in our communities. There's the ones living, working, breathing in these communities. They bring the stories. And then this is some quantitative data that we give them to help them understand the needs. We don't have researchers at NCCF, but what we do is pull data pieces from organizations across the county, which you'll see each year. Whatever data pieces we pull, we'll let you know in the beginning of this document with those links. But you can see just a bunch of data. And what you can do with, you have access to every county's data that is one of our affiliates, and you can use this for your own grant writing, or any other purpose that you think is useful. And so feel free to use that resource whether or not you're applying for a grant or not. So that's that piece. If we scroll back up, we'll see some tabs here, and apply for grants will give you some more information. The biggest thing you'll see, or the most important thing you'll see, is the grant cycle. So you'll see, and these will change every single year. They shouldn't change significantly, maybe by a week or 2. But like this one is in July, it probably won't move from the July timeframe. It might move to early July or late July, but should stay there. So you'll see when you can apply for grants. Again, here's another place where you can see typically what they're awarding. We looked at their past grants. You can see that here, but this is just kind of a summary. You'll see how much money they awarded the previous year, and what that will do is help you understand how much money they have to distribute across all the grants. If you do apply, there will be a little link here that will be active on the dates that the grant cycle is open, and that's how you'll create an account and apply. And so that's kind of the biggest thing on that page. Another link that'll be helpful for you is if you go to nonprofits and apply for grants. This is where you're going to see all of our eligibility requirements and just a lot of good other information about the grant cycles. The places I live most on this page are eligibility. This will show you who is eligible to apply for a grant. So most of our grant applications come from nonprofits. Sometimes we'll get local government, which might be the fire department or the school system, or like one of my counties this year, the police department applied for a community event. Religious entities can apply for program grants, but not general operating. So a lot of our food pantries are operated out of religious entities, so that's where that becomes relevant. But yeah, so for tourism, what I guess I shouldn't ask questions since we're recording on this, but I'm not sure. Kathy, maybe you can answer for me. Would that be appropriate? What
Sure.
would it like so the museums are easy. They're 501(c)(3). That's a nonprofit, but some of these other organizations, what would they fall under?
So I think it's a mix of organizations from the towns, which might be,
Local
non-government
government.
entities, 501(c)(3)s usually, and the governmental agencies.
Okay.
Now we
Yep.
do have, so do you, local governments, yeah.
Yeah, local governments would be eligible. But also you can have fiscal sponsorship. So let's say the community is collaborating on some event that's going to impact tourism, but also impact the community in some other way that so let's say Sarah, you are doing I keep using you because I see your face. Let's say there's going to be a big arts event that is going to have like a big tourist draw as well. Um, you Either you could apply for a grant for that event, or if there was like another organization that isn't a 501(c)(3) or one of these other entities, you could be their fiscal sponsor, which just means that you would write a letter saying you are willing to accept those funds and administer them for that organization for that event. So there are ways around all of this, that we can work with you all to find the best pathway. Also, the restrictions are listed on here. So make sure you check that out if you are interested. Deadlines, what I want to look at here is our chronological order, so you can kind of get an idea of when grants start and when they end. I think next year, actually, I just saw, so don't hold me to this, but I just saw a draft of next year's schedule, and I think we're starting February 28th next year for our first round. So you'll see there's different rounds. And so they start end of February, beginning of March, and they close up the end of August. So you can either look at this chronologically, but what's probably more relevant is going to alphabetically. So then you can just see your county. You can look for your county and see when that is.
Terry, for 2024, you were saying you're starting a few days earlier with your rounds. Is it, are we able to count on the counties will be grouped in the same rounds in the same order and just the dates change, or could it all change?
Yeah, traditionally that's how it works. There will be a couple of counties and they're in the central region. The west is pretty much going to stay the same. There's going to be a couple that are moving a week earlier or later. That's the only impact we're going to see in the west this year, but there are some central ones that have moved maybe from later in the cycle to earlier. However, we plan to publish the new dates in like November. So you'll have that and be able to see those and plan plenty ahead, um, for next year's grant cycle. Because right now all of our cycles have already closed. So the next time you can apply is in the next year's round. There's some frequently asked questions, but then here's the other piece that I really love is that this isn't pretty, but it gives you the entire application. So like if you're thinking already that you want to apply for next year, here is the copy of this year's process. Maybe a couple things might, like very insignificant things might change for next year, but you can see every single piece of data and question they'll ask you. It looks super long on here. Look, it's like 14 pages, but that's because like a lot of these are drop down boxes. So it lists every option. The online one doesn't look so tedious, but that at least I love to know all of the information all of the time. And so I love this just so you can, for the planners out there that want to get ahead of things. So, and just some more resources there if you want to click through there. And then finally, I want to show you, I'd been talking about my colleagues in the Central and Eastern region. So let me introduce you to them. Let's find us. Okay, here's our PO team. So Anne is in the Eastern region. So if you're there and you want to apply, you should always just reach out to the program officer because they're going to know specifics for each county. All of our counties, they're very unique. Like every county has different needs. The boards just have different personalities, different preferences. But we attend these boards and the grant making meetings every year, so we can give you some more insight into how that group has historically worked. And maybe what types of grants they like to see. So I would say, like, if there's someone in the West, I could tell you blanketly that in my region, all of the affiliates are very interested in keeping the money as local as possible, and impacting the most residents as possible. Basic needs are always prioritized. So, you all working in tourism and you're often thinking about outsiders and bringing them into the community, but in applying to these grants, you might want to think about like, what impact is my work going to do for the local community? So if I want to apply for some grant, like, is that grant going to create a new position for a local community member? Is it going to distribute free food? Like, what need? Going back to that community needs assessment, and you see all the needs in your community, how are we contributing to the community? That's what, at least in the West, that's what my boards are gonna like. But Anne and Kelly, so Kelly again is the central. They'll be able to tell you more about what their boards look like and give you some inside information there. I think if you click on, I'm not going to click on this because I don't want it to redirect me, but all of our contact information is right there. So be sure to reach out to your correct person. And the way to figure out who you contact is I'm green, Kelly's yellow, Anne is blue. And if you're in blue, like Halifax, Pitt, Sampson, or Pender, I think that darker blue might mean there's not an affiliate, but maybe some funds there. But you'd have to ask Ann about that. We don't have that out here in the West, so I don't know how that works. So that's kind of the gist of how we work.